Ken, one of the studies that has been done with GPLC, a particular form of carnitine called glycine propionyl L-carnitine, was conducted by a researcher by the name of Richard Bloomer, I believe at the University of Tennessee, Memphis.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that one?
Yes, we have a number of interventions ongoing, and this goes back several years. But that some of the findings that we found regarding glycocarn is a retention of nitric oxide in human plasma. We've also done this has all been done on humans, not on mice or on pumpkins or anything, but done on humans. And essentially we found that nitric oxide was favorably retained at very high levels, and that from a scientist's standpoint, to have this level of nitric oxide retained is very significant as far as contributing positively towards blood flow into the muscle. And so this has a number of ramifications and desirable endpoints. Certainly it increases the amount of oxygen to the cell, and from a standpoint of strenuous muscular activity, it shortens the interval potentially for the recovery of the muscle after exercise. And so this is one finding. We also noticed that the initial study was done on a population of healthy young adults, and that it's difficult to find changes, occurring in these people. But essentially, they entered into an 8-week program of exercise and dietary supplementation with glycocarn. We did find that some of the aspects normally associated with an exercise program went very well, and that the blood lipids started to change more favorably. That HDL went up. We also saw that triglycerides were decreased in that. Skin fold, which is a determination of not so much body weight, which can be very misleading, but actually how much fat is on the body. So skin fold and body composition made positive or desirable changes. Also, we noticed that some of the end products of metabolism were decreased with glycocarn supplementation at fairly substantial levels. And so we measured some of the peroxidases and some of the isoprostanes and types of MDA, these are end products of metabolism that are unfavorable. They are the so-called random oxygen species, kind of like the wild and woolly radicals that cause damage to the cell that we were talking about. These are diminished, with glycocarn supplementation. So there's a lot of favorable stuff, and we found no bad effects. There's no side effects. There was no ill effects, at all from the product, taken at fairly high levels of 3.5 grams a day. And so the product is essentially safe, well tolerated, and offers very good support, for the type of things that we're interested here today.
Let's take another look at the nitric oxide. You mentioned that earlier, and how it helps to relax blood vessels. And so how can this be important for people? The difference between having your blood vessels relaxed so that blood can flow freely, and the opposite of that is constricted blood vessels and the problems that might present.
Well, we're talking about oxygen demand, and that muscles. When we're talking about a swimmer or a runner that's performing an aerobic exercise, that gets to that point where fatigue starts to, in other words, some runners say, I've got my lungs are okay, but my legs gave out, or vice versa. Essentially there are end products of muscle use that have to be removed. These are waste products, and they're in the form of lactic acid derivatives that accumulate and cause cramping, or are waste products that have to be removed. By increasing the amount of blood flow to the muscles during periods such as this, what you're doing is you're speeding up not only the recovery of the muscle on a longer term basis, but on a shorter term basis too, by removing some of these waste products so that you can continue, you continue your activity, whatever that may be. And here again, it's important that the activity may be running a 10K race, or it could be running for a train or an airplane. I mean, it's a matter of what you consider to be your chief areas of exercise menu.
Thank you, Ken.